Jenny and I were both raised Catholic, and we were getting to that point in our faith where we had a lot of questions, and we're also, I guess, searching. There was a little bit of me being married to the sport that I was coaching and trying to be a good husband at the same time, and it was a struggle.
It was a blur, a mother of three littles. You're gone literally from when you wake up till basically when the kids are going to bed. And so it's hectic and lonely at home.
At that time, the coach's timeout was suggested to us, and it was not an easy decision, but it was something that we decided to go with, and it made all the difference.
We both believed in God, but we didn't have a relationship with Jesus. Definitely was a step out of our comfort zone.
But we connected with families too that were so like they were like-minded. They were in a similar situation, a similar journey, and helped share some ideas with us, like, hey, coaching's a ministry, and this is how you can both be on the coaching staff, and how this coaching can also be a blessing to your marriage as well.
But you would split off with these huddles of different husbands and wives, and there was like a smaller group of you, and they led some discussion, and I asked him about that moment, about the husband coming to accept Jesus. And when he told me his story, I just started crying. And Garrett saw me crying, and then Garrett got emotional, and they prayed for us, and that was the moment that we accepted Jesus into our lives.
What I always tell my students and my athletes is, in the absence of leadership, who leads? So direction matters, and so again, we had that opportunity to take a moment, and look at our marriage and look at the way our kids are being raised, and be intentional about having a plan for them, and how we wanted to put some things in place to help them go in a certain direction. And again, FCA made a big impact in that as well.
The biggest impact was then when we sent them away to FCA middle school camp, and they got to have somebody else pour that into them and share that into them, and hearing it from somebody else seemed to make it click.
The turning point for me at camp was one of the messages and worship things we had. It just popped in my mind, like how I've always known of God, but I've never had that personal relationship. One night after we all went back to the dorms, me and my other huddle leader got to have a talk with one of the MCs, and he just shared with us like how he's more than just like our God. He's our friend. He's like someone we can have that relationship with, that we can build that bond with, and that just turned a corner in me, and I just saw that I can build that personal relationship and get to know him on a personal level, and know him as a friend, not just as our God, which was huge for me.
I was not expecting the growth that happened from our oldest son there as a camp counselor, and he just came home beaming and all in for Jesus. And then the role that he played for his brothers was a very strong role.
I just remember the one moment when everything happened. We're in a room of like 100 people, and it just felt like he was talking right to me. He tells everyone that he wants someone to stand up and give their life to Christ. And I knew I was ready to like go for it. And even like when I got home, talking to my dad about it, about like how I just want to like live through God. And it was like a month or two later, we went to middle school camp.
Just being there with all of my brothers, like seeing our youngest brother just going like, oh, I'll do it, just everything. Want to lead prayer? Oh, I'll do it. Just head on to everything, which is so amazing.
One night, the worship comes on, and just instantly you can tell something is different in the room. Like you could feel the Holy Spirit in the room. It was crazy. And I remember my younger brother coming up to me and giving me a hug. I didn't expect that that was the way that God was going to show up, and it was.
I got my youngest brother right here. He was on the red team. Just said yes to Jesus, this kid did. It's been awesome. I got my other brother. I don't know where he's at. He's on the black team. He's also a huddle leader. And at captain's camp 3 weeks ago, he just said yes to Jesus. So it's awesome because I get to share all these experiences with my younger brothers.
I went to talk to my brothers, and they really supported me. They were there for that entire time. They prayed for me. It was just an amazing experience. And so happy for the opportunity to be able to be accepted by Jesus and have that feeling of the Holy Spirit coming and accepting me at that session.
If I had any advice to give you, you know, as a family or as a married couple, I would strongly encourage you to look into FCA. I just haven't experienced very many organizations that have had that kind of impact that it's had on our kids.
Like you say, it takes a village, and for us, FCA has been that village.